As you embark on this great adventure, let me share some of the biggest lessons I've learned from a lifetime spent building dreams and beating the odds. I beat a lot of odds. A lot of odds. A lot of people said, I don't know. But it worked out okay. Where are we? Oh, gee, I'm president. How did that happen? You have to love what you do. Okay? You have to. I rarely see somebody that's successful that doesn't love what he or she does. Like, work isn't work, it's fun. I find it fun. I work all the time and I find it fun. If I didn't find it fun, I wouldn't be successful, whether it was real estate or in showbiz. I had a lot of different careers, but I loved real estate so much, and I was very successful in real estate because I loved it. I learned a lot from my father because I watched him work. He worked he was a workaholic. He loved to work. He's a good man. He was a tough guy, tough as hell, actually, now that I think back. And he worked 7 days a week. He worked Saturdays, Sundays, it didn't matter. And I learned by watching him, he loved his life. He loved what he was doing. He had a great long-term marriage, a long, many years. He beat me on that one. Now, mine are very successful, but they haven't lasted quite as long. It was close to 70 years. That was a long time. I said, Pop, you beat me on that one. But you know what I learned from him? That he loved life, and all he did was work. I see people that don't work hard and they're miserable. You have to find something that you love, and you have to follow your own instincts. Work hard. Work hard. Never, ever stop. An example is a great athlete, actually, Gary Player, golfer, great golfer. He wasn't as big as other men. He was actually on the small side. Don't tell him that. Friend of mine, don't tell him that. But he worked very hard. He made up for it. He never stopped. He won 168 golf tournaments. Think of that, 100. I said, Gary, you're winning like every weekend. Do you ever choke or anything? I don't know what choke means. And he made a statement years ago that I read, and I thought it was sort of an incredible statement. He said, it's funny, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? Think of that. The harder I work, the luckier I get. Don't lose your momentum. The word momentum is very important. I mean, I'll just tell you a little story about a great real estate developer named William Levitt, who was the biggest developer of the whole country in the 1940s and so. And he built these jobs. He started with one house, then 2 houses, then 20 houses, then thousands and thousands of houses. And a company, Gulf and Western, came along and they said, we're going to make you an offer to buy your company. And they offered him a lot of money, more money than he ever thought he could make. And he retired, lost his momentum. He retired and he led a beautiful life. He had a wife, I must tell you, it was a second wife. It was a trophy wife, what can I say? I don't like telling you everything, but we're all friends, right? Can we talk? And he lived a different life. He moved to the south of France, but it was a life of tremendous luxury. He had so many millions of dollars. He was given a fortune for the company. And 10 years went by, and then 15 years went by, and he got a call from this big conglomerate, Gulf and Western, and they said, we're not doing well with the purchase, because he used to pick up every nail, every piece of sawdust, every piece of wood, every chip, everything, and he'd sell it. He'd make a couple of bucks. Everything was perfect. They can't do that. You know, these big companies, they don't do that. You see it a lot when an entrepreneur sells to a big company and then he ends up buying the company back for peanuts later on. It happens a lot. But he was the best at what he did. But 15 years went by and he was so excited, and they sold him back his company. And he started, and he was going to tear apart the world because he got bored with a life of luxury. And he started building, and the markets turned on him. And he went bad, he lost everything, and he went bankrupt, absolutely bankrupt. And it was a sad story to read. It was such an amazing story because he was so rich, but he paid them, and he bought it for the right price, bought it low, but he went wild. But he lost his momentum. He wasn't good at it anymore. And he was at a party on Fifth Avenue, I'll never forget. And it was a party of a very powerful man who was having the party in a magnificent apartment overlooking the park. And I walked in, and there were 50 or so people. I recognized most of them, all the biggest business people in the world, actually. Very glamorous. I was doing well. I was young, and I was doing well. And I was invited to parties like that. And I looked in the corner, and there was Mr. William Levitt sitting all by himself on a chair, looking very glum. Nobody was talking to him, but I wanted to talk to him because I was in the real estate business, and he was. And I went over and talked to him, and I said, how are you, Mr. Levitt? He goes, Donald? He knew who I was. Not well, I'm not well. I said, so can you come back? He said, no, son, I lost my momentum. I shouldn't have done it. I lost my momentum. And I never forgot that expression. He lost his momentum. If he would have kept going, instead of selling and relaxing and going into a different life, he probably would have been 3 times bigger than he was, but he lost his momentum. And you have to know when it's your time. I mean, there'll be a time when you do lose. You see it with fighters. You see it with a lot of people. They have a great record and they retire. And then 4 years later, they say, I'm going back. I can beat that guy. And they get knocked to hell. So he lost his momentum. You have to know when your momentum time is up. I call it momentum time. Follow your momentum. It's a very important word. You don't hear it from too many, but I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. If you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. It doesn't work that way. Progress never comes from those satisfied with the failures of a broken system. It comes from those who want to fix the broken system. And you'll make the bigger money, you'll make the more success by acting that way. The other way may be more secure, but if you want to go to the top, you're just never going to do it unless you break the system. Change is never easy, and the closer you get to success, the more ferociously those with a vested interest in the past will resist you. They want to resist. So I just say, trust me on that, because I know you really do. You have to break the system a little bit and follow your own instincts. But if your vision is right, nothing will hold you down. Nothing. You have to have the right vision. And finally, and most importantly, never, ever give up. Never give up. Never give up. One of the most important things you can learn, if you just went a little bit longer, if you just held out a little bit longer, you would have been successful. The stories of that are legend. But I've learned that perseverance is everything. So whatever happens, no matter where you are in life, stay optimistic and just keep pushing forward. Just don't stop. Never, ever give up. Victory is right around the corner. At every stage in my career, my enemies, of which there were many and probably are right now, I can think of a couple of people that don't like me too much right now. You remember when they said that Donald Trump will never become president of the United States? Remember Barack Hussein Obama said that? Barack Hussein Obama, Donald Trump will never be president.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
Like 50 other politicians said that. Where are they now? Oh, let me see. Oh, there they are. Where are they now? But here I am standing before you as the 45th and 47th president. So never let anyone tell you that something is impossible. Ever, ever, ever. In America, the impossible is what we all do best. There is nothing you cannot do if you are willing to fight for it. You gotta fight, fight, fight. Oh, I've heard that expression. Funny. That's not here. That's not here on the actually, most of what I've said tonight is not on the teleprompter. That's all right. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter and can sort of have a little fun?